Today in our 2016 Infiniti QX50, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the CURT Class 1 custom fit trailer hitch receiver. So here's what our hitch is going to look like once we have it installed. The cross tube is going to be completely hidden behind the bumper, and all we're going to see is the receiver tube sticking out, so it's not going to be distracting from the looks of our Infiniti. That's a Class 1 hitch, which means it's going to give us that 1¼ by 1¼ receiver tube opening and be really good for bike racks, some smaller cargo carriers, or if we're going to do some light duty towing. Now the way we're going to mount any of our accessories is through the hitch pin hole here on the side. Our hitch is going to accept a standard 1/2" pin and clip. Now these are not included in the kit, but you can pick them up here at etrailer.com along with some locking devices to make sure your accessories are secure. Now if you do plan on doing some light duty towing, our safety chain connection points are going to be a loop style, and we'll have plenty of room to get most size hooks on or off. As far as the weight capacity is concerned, our hitch is going to have a 150-pound tongue weight, which is the maximum downward force of the receiver tube, along with a 1,500-pound gross trailer weight rating. That's the amount it can pull, including the trailer and everything you have loaded on it. But with those numbers in mind, you always want to double check your Infiniti's owner's manual because you don't want to exceed the manufacturer's recommended weight. I'm going to give you a few measurements, and these will help you whenever you're looking for accessories for your hitch, like a bike rack or even a cargo carrier. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the outermost edge of the bumper, it's going to be right about 5 inches. That measurement is going to come in handy when you're looking at folding accessories to make sure you have enough clearance and that they're not going to come in contact with the rear bumper. From the ground to the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening, it's right about 13.5 inches. At that height, I would definitely recommend a bike rack or a cargo carrier with a raised shank. That way we get a little bit more ground clearance. Now that we've seen what our hitch looks like and gone over some of the features, let's show you how to get it installed. To begin our installation, we're going to come to the back of our Infiniti, and we're going to start out on the driver's side. The bottom of the frame rail here, we'll see that we have our tie-down hook. We're going to have 2 bolts on the bottom holding it in, as well as 2 on the side of the frame. So we're going to grab a 14mm socket, and we're going to pull those bolts out. I like using hand tools to break the bolts loose at first. That way if they are really tight or if there's any rust inside, we don't have to worry about breaking the bolt off. Once we have all the bolts removed, we'll pull our tie-down hook off, and we're not going to be reinstalling it. And with the tie-down hook out of the way, we're going to move back towards the back of our bumper, and on each side we'll have this hanger attached to our muffler. We're going to remove these 3 bolts. So we can grab a 12mm socket, and we'll break these loose. Once we have the last one removed, we're going to go ahead and pull the other side out as well. Now with the 2 hangers of the mufflers removed, we're going to want to move forward on our exhaust. Now I'm going to put a strap up to make sure that it doesn't come down too far, and also make sure that it's not going to fall down on me when we start loosening all the other straps. Just make sure it's supported. Now if we move right behind our rear axle here, we're going to have this 1 rubber isolator, and there's going to be a bolt going through the top. We're going to need to remove that bolt, so we're going to want to grab another 12mm socket and pull it out. And we'll pull the bolt out, move our isolator out of the way, but we want to hold on to this bolt so we can reinstall it later. This time if we move forward just in front of our rear axle, we're going to have another isolator, and this is going to be on both sides. We'll have this plastic shield here, and if we look up, we're going to have a nut that's holding the hanger in place. Again, we'll grab a 12mm socket. You may have to just pull that plastic out of the way, and we'll remove the nut so the exhaust can come down. And we're going to want to pull the nuts off of both sides of our exhaust and hold on to them for reinstallation. I'm going to go in and loosen up the strap that's supporting my exhaust so that it can come down farther, and it'll actually rest right on this cross member further up on the car. And that should give us plenty of room to work with. With the exhaust lowered down, I'm going to come to the isolator with the hanger that we unbolted. I'm going to spray it down with some spray lubricant because we're going to need to remove the hanger itself from the rubber isolator. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pry bar. I'm going to use it to pry against the tailpipe till I can pull the hanger out. Once we have the hanger removed, we'll remove the other side as well, and we're not going to be reinstalling these. Now with the hangers removed, I'd like to go over the hardware combination and locations. On the passenger side, those 3 weld nuts that we removed the hanger from are going to be how we're going to hang our hitch. We're going to take an M8 bolt from our kit, along with a conical tooth washer. They're going to have small teeth on there. You want to make sure those are facing up towards the hitch. We'll lift our hitch up, we're going to go through the hitch, and we're going to secure it into the weld nuts at the bottom of the frame here. And on the driver's side, the combination hardware is going to be the same for the 3 small weld nuts. However, we're also going to be using the 2 larger holes with 2 larger bolts right here. Now with the next set of hands, we're going to lift our hitch into place. Now we're going to start over on the driver's side, going over the exhaust. You may have to pull down slightly. Okay, go ahead and slide over. Now on the passenger side, we have our bumper structure, and you can see that the bolts and nuts are going to interfere with our hitch. That's why we went all the way to the driver's side, and we're going to slide it over so our holes line up with the weld nuts. So I went ahead and put 1 bolt in on the passenger side just to keep it from shifting back and forth so we can make sure that it's going to be lined up. Now, it's going to be extremely difficult, but the end result, you want your muffler to be on top, this hanger to be on top of the one that's on the hitch. So we only have one side in right now, so we should be able to shift our muffler back and forth so we can get it around the hanger so that when we hook it up, the hanger will be shaped like this rather than when we originally took it off going up. And once you get your isolator on top, we're going to rotate it so it'll hook onto our exhaust just like that. Now if you're having trouble with the isolator getting around the stud on our hitch, you can remove the isolator, move the exhaust around it, and then put it back in place. It will be a little bit easier rather than trying to fight it. And on the driver's side, we're going to put at least 1 bolt in so it'll hold our hitch up, and then we can start connecting our exhaust and putting the rest of the hardware in place. I'm going to come back with a 13mm socket, and I'm going to tighten up all my M8 bolts. I'm going to grab a 17mm socket and tighten up my 2 larger bolts. I'm going to come back and I'm going to torque all my hardware down to the specified amount in the instructions. You just want to make sure you go back and you repeat that for all your remaining hardware. With our hitch torqued down, I'm going to put the nuts back first, the furthest forward point on our exhaust, and tighten them back up. And that'll make it easier for our isolator here that we have to pass our bolt through to line up. We'll put our bolt in, and then we can tighten it all the way up. Finally, we'll remove our support strap, and we're ready to hit the road. That'll finish up your look at the CURT Class 1 custom fit trailer hitch receiver on our 2016 Infiniti QX50.